Welcome to the Slate Update, an irregular roundup of news on this tough little truck. June 22nd, mark your calendars. We were told that pricing details would be announced in June for this mid-20s EV. Well, according to the Times Union, local journalism at its finest, a representative of Slate Auto said there would be an event on June 22nd in Warsaw to announce more details about reservations and distribution of this truck. There could be some misreading of his comments, but I'll just assume June 22nd is the date in Warsaw, and we'll get a significant update on pricing, production, and what the over 160,000 reservation owners should expect. For the fun of it, let's take a look at the most affordable battery EVs in America to get an idea of where pricing should land if they want this vehicle to be competitive. Note that the Nissan Leaf S model has been canceled or permanently delayed for the US. The S Plus is now their only entry level at just under $30,000. I also show the Fiat 500e, which is still available in the US, but only in select markets, and it's listed as a 2025 model year, so it sounds like that EV's about done. The new Chevrolet Bolt EV is the value leader in the US with 262 miles of range at a price well under $30,000. Now, the prices I'm showing are MSRP without destination charges, which add over $1,000 for most manufacturers, approaching $2,000 for some. In my opinion, Slate's standard range model needs to come in under the Chevrolet Bolt. If it doesn't, everyone's going to reach the same conclusion. Why buy this when you can get a Bolt for less money and more range? Now, the extended range Slate, that could be priced closer to the Chevrolet Bolt. Last year, I was very optimistic that maybe, just maybe, Slate was sandbagging the number and the starting price would be closer to $20,000. But with tariffs and inflation, I'm not holding my breath on that anymore. Go ahead and put your guess on the price in the comments below. The wild card in their pricing are all the accessories you can buy. Slate doesn't want to lose money on each truck, but they're going to make huge margin on all those accessories that inevitably we will buy. We just won't be able to stop ourselves from spending more money on this blank slate. Speaking of that, it seems like the configurator has added more wheel options and other neat things. Maybe I just didn't notice it before, but go ahead and check it out yourself. New CEO Peter Faricy made an appearance on Bloomberg to promote the company. It was announced in March that he would be taking over, and at that time, I did not see this as a major red flag for the company. Previous CEO Chris Barman is a veteran at designing, validating, and launching vehicle programs, and I believe this allows her to finish the 4 years of work that she and the engineering team have put into this vehicle. But a CEO also needs to be adept at finance, capital expenditures, and sales. That's what I believe Peter was brought in to charge up. His background includes being vice president of Amazon Marketplace, so he knows how to get people to put accessories in their online basket and hit that purchase button. That's also what Slate needs to do. He made the appearance following Slate securing an additional $650 million in funding. Slate is not a publicly traded company, and there is no mention of them going public. He wasn't asked, nor was it mentioned. This raises their total investments to $1.3 billion, which sounds like a lot, but honestly, that's cheap for the auto industry. One plant can easily cost more than that. Slate is investing $400 million to refurbish the old printing plant in Warsaw, Indiana, which is great for that community. I had a chance to drive by the plant last month. It's very cute. There's like this walking path that goes right by. But $400 million, that's chump change for the auto industry. The paint plant alone can cost more than that. And that's the point. Peter highlighted that Slate is unique and that they avoid some of these high capital expenditure investments like a paint plant, since the body panels are composite and the color is molded in. He also said that there is only one SKU, the blank slate, although I honestly think that there must be at least two, the standard range model for the battery and the long range model. Everything after that can be accessorized later. He claimed that the blank slate has about 700 parts versus 3,500 for a typical vehicle. And actually, I think that may be an understatement also. 3,500 would be counting the engine as one assembly, not the tens of thousands of parts that go in, like the rockers, the springs, the bolts, the castings, the head gaskets. All of that go into a combustion engine, raising that parts count for the vehicle. That is also not counting the variety of parts. Full-size pickups have a mind-blowing number of build combinations, literally millions, different colors, different engines, configurations, body styles, body lengths, or bed lengths. It makes manufacturing them a marvel of supply chain logistics. For sure, SLATE is not going to have to deal with that complexity or that cost. Accessories will play a huge role in the ownership experience and provide incremental business opportunities for SLATE. In addition to the Warsaw plant, there's a smaller plant in Louisville, Kentucky that will manufacture the wraps that are available for these trucks. Affordability is a crisis right now. SLATE is not going to be dependent on federal tax incentives because they're gone, nor will it be dependent on high gas prices to sell this truck, although that may provide them with a bit of a tailwind for many, many months. Peter put a bow on the discussion, confirming that production is on track for Q4 of this year, with initial deliveries to customers by the end of 2026. Either I'm stalking SLATE or they're stalking me. I went to Work Truck Week where I did an interview with Drew. Then I went to ACT Expo and attended Chief Commercial Officer Jeremy Snyder's presentation. Then I went to an autonomous conference in Detroit, and look who was there too. Their parent company, Remanufacturing, showed what they can offer drone manufacturers, and SLATE told their story of revitalizing American manufacturing. Back to Jeremy. When asked about total cost of ownership of the vehicle, he said, yeah, EVs cost less to operate. And then he went into right to repair and said that we should think of SLATE as an open source OEM. That's pretty interesting. By working with RepairPal and their over 4,000 independent service shops, SLATE sees itself as a disruptor in how new vehicles get serviced under warranty and over their lifetime. Service information will be shared to a wider set of businesses than the typical franchise dealer network, or with company-owned repair centers for those who do direct-to-consumer. Of those 4,000 RepairPal certified shops, over 200 are already working on high-voltage system. That was my concern, wondering how many of them would want to do the complex stuff. ACT Expo attracts fleet buyers looking for advanced clean transportation options. When asked what areas they see opportunities in, he said that last mile delivery is intriguing as the operators often use vehicles that are spec'd to the largest worst case, and thus they often roll in trucks much bigger and more costly to operate than needed. That's not optimal for some use cases. General contractors, landscapers, and small business owners are also key markets. Small business owners often can't afford to update their fleet with new vehicles due to the high initial cost. SLATE will address that barrier. He also talked about the quality advantage of not having a built-in infotainment system. In quality surveys like J.D. Power, the number one reported problem has always been Bluetooth connectivity. Until Apple CarPlay and Android Auto came out, then it became the number one problem. And now it's wireless CarPlay and Android Auto that is the top offender. SLATE relies on non-integrated solutions, so it will be easier to update the software if needed, or they can just mail you another one, which is much less expensive for them than to send you back to the dealer. As they get ready for mass production, SLATE is growing. If you're interested, visit slate.auto careers. They announced plans to hire 392 more people at their headquarters. This was tied to a $5 million tax incentive from the state of Michigan. This includes people with manufacturing experience and sales experience in the auto industry. Now, some of these new hires got blown up a bit, in my opinion. They are leaders who bring years of experience from the auto industry to help SLATE succeed, but it's not like they were reporting to the CEOs at Ford or Lucid. Having said that, I will blow things up a bit and question if these hires are a little too late. By now, the design should be baked, the manufacturing plans locked in, and the sales and service well underway. With only about a half year until customer deliveries, these new hires will have to hit the ground running. I would have felt more comfortable if they hired them last year, but that's just my gut feeling on this. DV to PV, SLATE should be entering their production validation phase. Design validation tests vehicles that are built in a prototype shop. SLATE's shop is located in Lake Orion, Michigan. PV is the next phase where you perform crash tests and reliability using the vehicles built on production equipment, production robots welding production tooled stampings. Slate sent out an email confirming that 100% of the production body shop robots have been installed in Warsaw. Automation cells are the individual robotic workstations that handle each step. They're all installed and operational. Once dialed in, they will start building production validation slate boards for testing. The trim line is also well underway. This is the moving assembly line where components like wiring, seats, windows, they all get installed. This is part of the manufacturing process still being done by humans, not robots. I'll end this video with a snapshot of a Slate test vehicle charging. This was posted to Reddit. My take on it, this is an early prototype build. It's charging on the right side of the vehicle. Early builds charge using CCS on the right side, while the production intent is to charge using a NACS connector on the left side, like Tesla. Also, you can see the rear glass has been heavily taped up so water does not leak in. That rear bulkhead is removable to make the pickup into an SUV, and it probably doesn't seal perfectly yet because it is a prototype. The vehicle has stickers all over it from Bosch. My guess is that they're the key supplier for one of the camera-based safety systems, like the automatic emergency braking and pedestrian protection. Bosch is a European company, so they have a policy of putting these QR codes all over their vehicles that link to their privacy policy, since the images that are being captured are uploaded to their computers for testing and for training purposes. It's part of the Europe's GDPR privacy laws. In June, we'll know just how much this tough little truck will cost, so put your guesses below, and thanks for watching.